You know, John, we alluded a little bit to nutrition a little bit earlier, but let's get a little bit more in depth to it, because I don't know, nutrition seems to really be the big issue no matter what area you're in. So as far as your athletes, let's talk about that nutrition factor for them.
And I talked about it a little bit earlier that we need to train to eat and not eat to train. We do so much exercise as a triathlete that some folks think they can justify eating whatever they want because, well, gosh, I burned the calories. Mm-hmm. But you can get yourself into trouble with that mindset. When we think of our triathletes training, we think of an annual training plan where we have periods of different types of training where we're in a base phase and we're taking it easy for a while, maybe recovering from the season and getting ready to kick up the next part, and then we bump up our training a little bit more, then we get close to a race and we change our training again. And if we don't change the way we eat during those phases, we end up getting in trouble as well. So what we'll tell our athletes that we're coaching is that we need to kind of periodize our nutrition as we periodize our training. And your plates, your dinner plate, your lunch plate, needs to kind of mimic that part of your training. So for instance, if we're in the base phase of our training where we're not doing a lot of high intensity stuff, we're not burning as many calories, we want to kind of cut back on those foods that have a little bit more calorie to them. And if we look at our plate during that time, it'll be real heavy in fruits and vegetables, and then a little bit less of our healthy fats, and then also include our lean proteins. And then as we go through the year, we can add some whole grains, and then we can, as we get more intense in our training, we can add some of those sports nutrition things that we love to eat, like power bars or Gatorades, those kind of things. But those are high in carbohydrate, and remember, if we're not out there burning that calorie with high exercise, then that ends up staying on as fat. So we've got to be careful about that, and we'll try to train our athletes to follow this regimen throughout the training cycle, and that usually becomes the best thing for us.
Okay, instituting vitamins, I mean, are there particular vitamins that they need to take, or?
There's a number of different thoughts on that, but we don't prescribe any kind of supplements. So we may talk about something that helps me, that I use, but as far as specific supplements or vitamins, they may talk to their doctor about that, but we're going to talk more about what we call the macronutrients, the food part, and the micronutrients, maybe just a different thought process with that.
Okay. And I ask that because you hear about all the vitamins coming, oh, this is supposed to be to help you, and all those things, but what it sounds to me, it's like basically just good, healthy eating.
Absolutely. And again, if we look at the recommendations that the National Dietary Society is telling us to take, it is a lot of fruits and vegetables. And I think by and large, as a population, we're behind the power curve as far as how many fruits and vegetable servings that we're taking each day. So, like I said, if we can augment that part of our diet to match that, I think we're just eating healthier, and then we may shy away a little bit from all those vitamins and minerals and those kind of
extra stuff. I've always wondered about that. That's in your water, and that's another thing. Water.
And minerals and those kind of
extra stuff. I've always wondered about that. That's in your water, and that's another thing. Water. I'm sure that you're encouraging them to drink a lot of water. But now they do have these supplements, the crystal lights, not knocking that, but that people put in the water. Does that take away from the purity of it to help them?
Well, again, when we start adding supplements, we have to look at how much carbohydrate we're taking in, and again, in our base phase, maybe water's fine during our exercise. If we, for instance, go on a 3-hour bike ride, we're not working that hard, our heart rate's staying in control, so water just to keep ourselves hydrated will be enough. When we start adding these supplements, sometimes those calories start to sneak up on us, and we add a little bit of sugar here, a little bit of sugar there, and then the next thing you know, we've taken in this many more calories than we really need.
Okay, so really just keep it basic.
Absolutely.
How often do the athletes need to eat? Because I've heard, when you work out, you need to have at least 5 small meals versus a lunch, breakfast, lunch, dinner, maybe a little snack or something. But really, how do you tell your athletes they need to eat?
Well, I think that the simple plan of 3 meals a day is okay. There's some thought of, well, how about if we just eat a little bit throughout the day, kind of graze. But again, we lose track of how much food we're eating when we do that. And if you're going to maybe have some carrot sticks or some fruit at your desk, that's certainly okay. But to simply eat just because the food's there, we've got to be careful about that. So when we take a athlete on and we include the nutrition plan with that as well, we'll tell them, record everything that you eat, everything you put in your mouth. And another way to do it with technology these days, everybody's got a camera on their cell phone. And so just take a picture of your plate and then send it to me so I know what you're eating.
Big brother loves that.
That's right. And it adds accountability, and then it may be that aha factor to the athlete that goes, gosh, maybe I am eating a little bit too much. So that's another way to kind of track things and know how much you're taking in.
Okay, that's wise though. You think about it, you've got a picture of it and kind of let you know, I should have had that.
That's right. And maybe they stop at the ice cream shop and they don't want to take a picture.
They don't want to tell on themselves. Wow, I believe that. So again, the main basic thing is that they're eating healthy. It doesn't have to be all the 5 meals a day or something like that, but really just a basic breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Right, and this is kind of a change in the way people are thinking that we've got to do these certain things to get to this point. And what we'll do is we'll have athletes start slowly and give them the confidence that this will work for them if they just give it a little bit of time.
Okay, so if they just follow the leader, huh?
Absolutely.
That's good to know. Well, and I want to say I'm very glad to hear what you said about not having to add so many of the supplements. And it's not knocking anyone's products or anything like that, but it's back to the basics. Really what it boils down to, back to the basics. I can remember as a child, we used to have our bacon, eggs, and milk and juice, water, and we were healthy. But what happened?
Well, we're eating a lot more processed foods now, and those contain, you'd be surprised when you start looking at ingredients, contain a lot of sugars, and we're getting away from mom's home-cooked meal with the simple things in there. So.
Okay. Is there a difference in how the athlete should eat depending on their age?
It's a good question. I don't think so, other than the fact that as we get a little bit older, we may not have the metabolism, the speed of metabolism that we had when we were younger, so we may have to pull back on our calories. And although I don't like the athletes to stand on the scale every day, one of those reminders is when you do get on the scale when you're maybe 45 or 50 and you see, gosh, I'm adding some pounds here, it's because maybe your requirements have changed a little bit and you need to cut back.
Oh man, I've been noticing that myself for the last few years, that we have to change and look at that. And another thing about the athletes that you have, what are the age groups that you are seeing coming in?
Well, primarily for triathletes, the biggest age group is around 30 to 45. Most folks wait until they've had a couple kids and things have calmed down in their work life, they found their job, then they spot this sport and they get into it that way. The real push now is to get our youth involved. And that's one of the goals of Multisport Performance Institute is to create a youth team so that we can possibly get the next Olympic triathlete from our area around here. But by and large, we're seeing folks around 30 to 45 age group.
Wow, that is interesting. I guess because now that mindset, I want to be healthy has come up too, and I guess accomplishing something, is it more so that you would say in that particular age group it's wanting to accomplish something?
It may be in that kind of bucket list mentality that, oh, here's something that looks a little difficult for me to get accomplished, and they may see it on TV or they may hear about it, and they say, well, if so-and-so did it, maybe I can do it too.
Yeah, no. And what can they expect to achieve at these camps?
Well, again, I think that education is an important piece of learning how to do a triathlon. It's important to get out there and put the miles in and put the laps in the pool, but to learn how to be a stronger triathlete or a more efficient triathlete, or how to be smarter at training is an important piece, and that's what we hope to give the triathletes that come through the camp.
Okay, well, I'm sure that they're going to get a lot of great training. And I just want to throw this in because I know we're kind of nearing the end here, but just talk about one person that's been through, because we can look at the perspective that they're coming in from, this is something that I want to achieve, but what about that person that didn't quite feel that they could make it, and to see when they were able to achieve it?
Well, certainly, we have athletes that will come in and let's just take the swim, for instance. They weren't a swimmer to start off with, and I'm thinking of one athlete in particular where she was unsure of her abilities in the water. When we did open water training, she came back out before we were able to finish the training. And then over the course of time, she was able to finish a race, get in the water, do the swim. Because remember that you're not just in a pool where you have your own lane, but you're in open water and you're surrounded by quite possibly 150 triathletes or more, depending on the race, and that adds to the anxiety, and you're unsure of your abilities when you're getting hit and trampled. So we had to work through that with her, but she was able to get in there, do the race, come out of the water. Once she got out of the water, it was fine. She looked at her bike and her run, and she did great. So we're excited about that.
Okay, that's the kind of things that I can tell, with that being your passion, that makes you feel like, yeah, we did what we set out to do.
Absolutely.
That's all right. John, I want to thank you for being with us on today. This has been so tremendous, and everything. But tell us, how can everyone get in contact with you to find out more information?
Well, certainly you can go to our website, www.multisportperformanceinstitute.com, and check out the website. There's a lot of good information on there about our camps and our clinics, about myself and Mark, and you can give us a call. The phone number's on that website.
Okay. Thank you again, John. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right now. Look, I might become one of these athletes, though. Anyway, we want to thank you for joining us for Community Central. Don't you leave us. We'll see you on the next show. Have a good one. Bye-bye.